Welcome to the Tax Cases channel. Let us understand in this video a case law on international taxation. Any foreign remittance from India to outside India is subjected to Section 195 of the Income Tax Act. As per Section 195, if any income is chargeable to tax in India, then TDS has to be done on such payment. Transmission Corporation case often is seen as misquoted. Hence, it is important to understand the facts of the case to distinguish the cases on hand by a practitioner. Please like this video and subscribe the channel. So the Supreme Court had said in this case, before deciding the question involved, they would refer to a few facts of the matter. The appellant, the Andhra Pradesh State Electricity Board, made certain payments to non-residents against the purchase of machinery and equipment, and also against the work executed by the non-residents in India of erecting and commissioning the machinery and equipment. The board entered into two separate agreements with Charmil's Engineering Works Limited, Geneva, Switzerland. One for the purchase of 95,000 numbers of BHP Francis turbines and another for purchase of butterfly valves. There were two other contracts of the assembly, erection and testing and commissioning of the aforesaid equipments. The payments were made to the non-resident company for the financial years 1966-67 to 1972-73. The board also entered into an agreement with Oerlikon Engineering Company, Zurich, Switzerland for the purchase of 60 megawatts generators and indoor switchgear for the Celeru hydroelectric scheme. Another contract was executed for the assembly, erection and testing and commissioning of the equipments. The payments were made in the financial years 1966-67, 67-68 and 68-69. Third contract was entered by the board with Sacheron Works Limited, Geneva, Switzerland for the purchase and erection of power transformers for the Celeru hydroelectric scheme. On the basis of the said contract, in the financial years 1966-67, the amount was paid to the non-resident company. For the aforesaid payments, the question arose whether the Electricity Board was under an obligation to deduct tax at source from these payments under Section 195. These payments were made by the Electricity Board without deduction of tax at source. Owing to the failure of the Electricity Board to deduct such tax, it was deemed to be an assessee in default in respect of the tax deductible at source. Hence, the ITO passed orders determining the tax which according to him was deductible at source under Section 195, and the Electricity Board was required to pay such amounts. Against the order of the ITO, appeals were filed by the assessee which were allowed by the then AAC, that is the Appellate Commissioner during the earlier law, with the observation that the words any other sum chargeable under the provisions of this Act occurring in Section 195 do not contemplate inclusion of trade receipts in their ambit, and that Section 195 applies only to cases where the sums paid are pure income profits. The AAC therefore allowed the appeals and set aside the orders passed by the ITO. Against the said orders, the revenue preferred appeals before the tribunal. The tribunal also dismissed the appeals filed by the ITO on the ground that the provisions of Section 195 are not applicable to payments of sums to a non-resident, which are not pure income profits. Thereupon, on the reference applications filed by the Commissioner under Section 256 subsection 1 of the Act, the tribunal referred the following question of law on TDS liability under Section 195. High Court stated two fundamental questions: whether the provisions of Section 195 are applicable to cases where the sum paid to the non-resident does not wholly represent income. B. If Section 195 is applicable in such cases, whether the ITO could enforce deduction of tax at source on the gross amount of trading receipts or only in respect of that portion of the trading receipts which may be chargeable as income under the Act. The court observed that the question referred to deals with only first aspect mentioned above, but the second aspect is an integral part of the first aspect, and therefore it was necessary to reframe the question in order to bring real controversy between the parties. So the court reframed and decided the following questions: whether on the facts and in the circumstances of the case, the superintending engineer, civil circle, Upper Sileru is liable to deduct income tax under section 195 of the Income Tax Act 1961 in respect of payments made to non-residents, namely Charmiles Engineering, Sacheron Works and Ehrlichon Engineering Company, and if so, whether the tax deductible is liable to be determined on the gross sum of money paid to the non-residents. The court answered the reframed question as under: the respondent assessee who made the payments to the three non-residents above referred was under an obligation to deduct tax at source under section 195 in respect of the sums paid to them under the contracts entered into. The obligation of the respondent assessee to deduct tax under section 195 is limited only to the appropriate proportion of the income chargeable under the Act, forming part of the gross sums of money paid to the three non-residents referred above. 3. While the ITO was correct in the determination of tax under section 195 in respect of the payments made to Sacheron Works Limited in RC number 204, he was in error in determining the tax deductible under section 195 in respect of the gross sums of money paid to Charmiles and Ehrlichon Engineering. Against the said judgment and order, the appellate superintending engineer, that is the assessee, has filed these appeals. Section 195 would be applicable where payment to non-resident is wholly income chargeable to tax. Any sum chargeable under the provisions of this Act shall at the time of payment deduct income tax thereon at the rates in force. It is his contention that under the Income Tax Act, tax can be levied and collected on the income. But when the payments made to the non-resident were not entirely income but a trading receipt, there is no question of deduction of income tax at the source as the section does not provide for it. The substance of the contention is what is taxable under the Act is pure income or profit and not the gross sum, which would include cost of materials and other expenses, and hence section 195 would not be applicable in such cases. This was the contention of the assessee. The scheme of subsections 1, 2 and say 3 of section 195 and section 197 leaves no doubt that the expression any other sum chargeable under the provisions of this Act would mean sum on which income tax is leviable. In other words, the said sum is chargeable to tax and could be assessed to tax under the Act. Consideration would be whether payment of sum to non-resident is chargeable to tax under the provisions of the Act or not. That sum may be income or income hidden or otherwise embedded there. If so, tax is required to be deducted on the said sum. What would be the income is to be computed on the basis of various provisions of the Act, including provisions for computation of the business income. If the payment is a trade receipt, however, what is to be deducted is income tax payable thereon at the rates in force. Under the Act, total income for the previous year would become chargeable to tax under section 4. Subsection 2 of section 4 inter alia provides that in respect of income chargeable under subsection 1, income tax shall be deducted at source where it is so deductible under any provision of the Act. If the sum that is to be paid to the non-resident is chargeable to tax, tax is required to be deducted. The sum which is to be paid may be income out of different heads of income provided under section 14. That is to say, income from salaries, house property, profits and gains of business or profession, capital gains, and income from other sources. The scheme of tax deduction at source applies not only to the amount paid, which wholly bears income character such as salaries, dividends, interest on securities, etc., but also to gross sums, the whole of which may not be income or profits of the recipient, such as payments to contractors and subcontractors, payment of insurance commission. It has been contended that the sum which may be required to be paid to the non-resident may only by a trading receipt and may contain a fraction of sum as taxable income. It is true that in some cases a trading receipt may contain a fraction of sum as taxable income, but in other cases such as interest, commission, transfer of rights of patents, goodwill, or drawings for plant and machinery and such other transactions, it may contain large sum as taxable income under the provisions of the Act. Whatever may be the position, if the income is from profits and gains of business, it would be computed under the Act as provided at the time of regular assessment. The purpose of subsection 1 of section 195 is to see that the sum which is chargeable under section 4 of the Act for levy and collection of income tax, the payee should deduct income tax thereon at the rates in force if the amount is to be paid to a non-resident. The said provision is for tentative deduction of income tax thereon, subject to regular assessment, and by the deduction of income tax, rights of the parties are not in any manner adversely affected. Further, the rights of payee or recipient are fully safeguarded under sections 195 subsection 2, 195 subsection 3 and 197. These subsections deal with nil rate of TDS certificate or lower rate of TDS certificate that can be given by assessing officer if applied by the assessee or the payee. Only thing which is required to be done by them is to file an application for determination by the assessing officer that such sum would not be chargeable to tax in the case of recipient, or for determination of appropriate proportion of such sum so chargeable, or for grant of certificate authorizing recipient to receive the amount without deduction of tax, or deduction of income tax at any lower rates or no deduction. On such determination, the tax at appropriate rate would be deducted at source. If no such application is filed, income tax on such sum is to be deducted, and it is in the statutory obligation of the person responsible for paying such sum to deduct tax thereon before making payment. He has to discharge the obligation of tax deduction at source. The Calcutta High Court considered and interpreted similar provision in section 18 subsection 3b of the Indian Income Tax Act 1922. Remember, the judgment we are analyzing in this video right now is for section 195 of Income Tax Act 1961 in the case of Transmission Corporation AP Limited. Now, while giving the judgment of this, the court has seen the judgment that was passed by Calcutta High Court in 1959. During that period, Indian Income Tax Act 1922 was applicable. Okay, let us see this again. The Calcutta High Court considered and interpreted similar provisions section 18 subsection 3b of the Indian Income Tax Act 1922 in the case of PC Ray and Company India Private Limited versus AC Mukherjee ITO 36 ITR 365, and rightly held, if chargeable under the provisions of this act means actually liable to be assessed to tax. In other words, if the sum contemplated is taxable income, a difficulty is undoubtedly created as to complying with the provisions of this section. The High Court further held that section 18 subsection 3b contemplated not merely amounts, the whole of which was taxable without deduction, but amounts of a mixed composition, a part of which only might turn out to be a taxable income as well, and the disbursements, which were of the nature of gross revenue receipts, were yet sums chargeable under the provisions of the Act and came within the ambit of section 18 subsection 3. Hence, in the view of the court, there is no substance in the contention of the learned counsel for the appellant, here Transmission Corporation AP Limited, that the expression any other sum chargeable under the provisions of this Act would not include cases where any sum payable to the non-resident is a trading receipt, which may or may not include pure income. The language of section 195 subsection 1 for deduction of income tax by the payee is clear and unambiguous and casts an obligation to deduct appropriate tax at source in force. We make it clear that the learned counsels for the parties have not advanced any submissions with regard to other findings given by the High Court. This is very important point. The court said, Supreme Court, we make it clear that the learned counsels for the parties have not advanced any submissions with regard to other findings given by the High Court. In this view of the matter, the answers given by the High Court that 1. The assessee who made the payments to the three non-resident was under obligation to deduct tax at source under section 195 in respect of the sums paid to them under the contracts entered into. And 2. The obligation of the respondent assessee to deduct tax under section 195 is limited only to appropriate proportion of income chargeable under the Act are correct. In the result, these appeals fail and are dismissed accordingly with costs. So assessee unfortunately loses in this case of Supreme Court. Transmission Corporation of AP Limited has been quoted in many cases whenever income tax officer is passing an order, because this is a favorable judgment to the income tax department. But then there are many aspects in the international taxation like tax treaty benefits, taxability of income in India, proportion of income taxable in India, etc., which are not dealt in detail in Transmission Corporation case. So in my next video, I will cover in GE India case how all these things were covered, and eventually assessee wins the case in that case. So with this, we will conclude this part of the video, but please wait. Thank you for a patient hearing. In order to get more such videos, kindly subscribe this channel and click on bell button to receive new videos in real time. Please like the video in order to encourage to make more such videos.